With it was a bad loss. They're down to 13th on the ladder now, and look, it's a season at times. They've looked really promising and look like they've got a great deal of potential, but just couldn't get done today.
I hear you say it's a bad loss. It's a great win for Sydney.
That's true.
We were worried when they came out in the ground. Yeah, they kicked the first goal, but then Carlton got their mojo happening, and then I thought to myself, Tom Hickey's not there to try and wrestle this back. I thought it was a real danger game without Tom Hickey. So I thought it was a fantastic win by the Sydney Swans in the end.
Take this where you want. OK, we're going to show some vision here. Now, I think if you're the captain of the football club, you almost can command, or you should be able to command, every other player in your team on the ground. So this is Cripps versus Kennedy. Now, Patrick Cripps is not a burst athlete. He's a power man in and around traffic, but this is not his go, tracking an opponent. Kennedy goes, Trips tries to go with him. He should be able to hand over to any other player on the field.
Doherty now.
Doherty, hey, he's yours, go with him. Now, he doesn't say that. He doesn't commit his teammate to Kennedy. Now, he's trying to get there, and as I said, this is not a direct go at Patrick Cripps because he was fantastic today.
He's gassed.
But he's out of tickets. So he needs to be able to say... We look at what the competition's doing. This is not us saying it. So you look at what Richmond set up for Dustin Martin to be Dustin Martin. You go in at centre bounces and then play forward. We'll pick up your man.
They're rollovers and people take that roll on when they see it unfold.
We'll do all the defensive actions that need to happen outside of what you're doing offensively because we know you're our star. Patrick Cripps is Carlton's star. He's their captain. So when that happens, someone should just say, Patrick, stay there. I got this. Or they need to orchestrate his role so he can be Dustin Martin, centre forward. So he doesn't have to worry about the parts of the game that hold the team back.
So when they're setting up their list, an issue Carlton have is they went out and spent a lot of money on Zach Williams, who was a back flanker, and they wanted to make him more and a part-time midfielder. They wanted to make him more a midfielder, part-time back flanker. So he was the kind of bloke with his pace and his power run. He can be the one who goes, Paddy, I've got him, and he charges back with him because he's a good defensive midfielder when he had that limited time in there. It's not what they got.
Not a full-time midfielder.
They got a back flanker. And that's the way he plays. He kicked a fantastic goal in the first quarter after a fumble. But essentially, he is a back flanker who can spend minutes in there. He can't cover for Paddy Cripps all that time. So that's part of their makeup. That's an issue for them. Good player, but that is an issue for them.
Nat Fyfe, when he won his second Brownlow, famously thanked his teammates who 100%. Did all the defensive work for him and allowed him to shine because, well, he's got all the talent. Adam Saad, are they getting value for money out of him?
Well, this is the same discussion, isn't it? And we have this discussion week on week, but when you spend this sort of money to get a player across, you want to make sure you know what you're getting. So as a defender, he's a great counter-attack machine. We know that. You see Weeks kick the goal there. He's a quality player. This kid's going to make a name for himself in this Sydney Swans lineup.
Electric.
But just have a look at the zone off here. So left bottom of your screen there, Saad standing right next to Sam Wicks. So as they separate, as Saad decides, I'm not going to go with my man. This is a conscious decision to not defend. So this is different to Paddy Cripps. So Patrick Cripps wants to defend, but physically can't do it. Saad makes the decision that he's going to retreat. He's going to be the goalkeeper type that gets possession rather than to defend.
Yeah, he's thinking they're going to feed it back to him once that...
That's not what they bought. That's not what they bought. They bought someone who could do the job on him and off him. So we get the counter-attack machine, but it comes with a defensive stability that we can build around. So I question now, what's their message to Adam Saad? What do they do with this? Do they say, hey, this is not what we want? Do they point that out? Do they highlight that? Do they say, no, we love what you do with the footy. We love
Why do you do that? Is that tiredness of mind, or is that just a will for him to go, hey, I can get this and sprint off down the other side if they feed it back to me, so I'm going that way?
Well, it doesn't happen at the other mob. It doesn't happen at Sydney. And that's the difference. We're talking about the competition sets the standards. So you get beaten today by 4 goals. There's 2 you can correct just by communication or just making the decision that it means a bit more to you than 1 disposal for me versus 1 disposal for you that becomes a goal.
Interesting point you make. Well, the Blues have got a little bit of time to lick their wounds in the Harbour City as we head into the newsroom where John Ralph is standing by. Ralphie, we know the fixture is still very much up in the air. What has been confirmed to date?
Well, the very small silver lining for the Carlton Football Club is that they are out of quarantine and they certainly have been able to get their full squad up to Sydney. Now, of course, they play West Coast at the SCG next week. That hasn't been officially been confirmed, but I have reported it, and Carlton certainly know that to be the fact. impact. So, look, they flew their skeleton squad up there on Wednesday morning, about 28 players, and when it became apparent that those borders were going to shut at 4 o'clock and apparent that they might be on the road for a couple of weeks, so they got the rest of those players up. So they have their full squad apart from 5 players on that long-term injury list. So they got absolutely no restrictions. They can train and play and do whatever they want. They're living in the inner city there. They played a practice match this morning against Sydney, which was one of the benefits of having that whole team there. So look, Mark Murphy as the sub had 5 touches in 30 minutes. You know, not a lot of impact. Michael Gibbons with that hamstring strain. They've got at least some players to cover them. So look, Tim Kelly and Oscar Allen will not be available for West Coast with that absolute must-win game. Carlton just can't drop to 4-8 and hope to be in premiership contention or even finals contention. Now the Eagles, of course, have lost all 9 of their games in the last 9 against. There's a better way to say that, but they've lost their last 9 games at the SCG. But you'd think Derm and Kingy, they would have much preferred to take on West Coast at the MCG. But it's not to be in COVID. You just got to win any time and anywhere.
Well, that's the state of play that we're in at the moment, isn't it? Well, everyone feared playing the Eagles at the Eagles' home, but last night your Bombers turned it around on them there. That was fantastic. But yeah, that is the state of play at the moment, Ralphie.
Now, just on another incident, Derm, that you might be an expert at. Well, maybe not. You're an expert in kicking and stomping and pinching, but not this one, Derm. Wow. Not this one. Now, this one here is it's a low blow. Callum Mills inflicted maximum damage on Liam Stocker here. So, look, we can laugh about it, but the MRO guidelines state that groin impact is considered the same level as head-high contact. So, like, all it needs to be is intentional and low impact there, and he misses against St Kilda next week, a game which potentially might even be played in Cairns now. There is some speculation around, and the AFL is considering that. So everything up for grabs. But St Kilda plays in Adelaide the following week. So maybe even this St Kilda City game might be in Cairns next week.
So, Ralphie, that is a discussion that Callum Mills whacked to the testes. And although we have a bit of fun when we watch cricket and blokes get hit by, the cricket ball and whatever, there's an unwritten rule. There's an unwritten rule in football. I mean, you get punched in the head, you get elbowed, you get all these things that are reportable. You take it and you move on and you say, I hated that, but that's, we're all playing a man's game. There are 3 things you don't do in AFL football. That's the unwritten code. You don't spit on your opposition, you don't kick your opposition, and you don't whack him in the nurries. You just don't do it. You don't do it. It's just Kingy, it's the unwritten rule. You don't do it. So I reckon that needs a please explain at least from Cal Single. You're shutting up. You're going very quiet.
Well, I'm just enjoying you step your way through this.
Hey,
how about helping me out?
What's next?
I think the next one would have been Plum. So what I would say is that certainly, though, Cal Mills looks at him. Now, you could say that he thought he might get him in the guts. He whacks him in the groin. And so, I think Michael Christian, given all the things he's had a look at recently, it potentially could get a 1-week suspension for it.
It was a considered action. Yeah.
All right, good work today, Ralphie. Thank you very much for that. Look forward to plenty more breaking news over the next 24 hours or so as we inch closer to what we're going to see in round 12, whatever that might be.